Eddie Mabo is arguably the most significant figure in the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander movement for land rights. He comes from a place called Murray or Mer Island, which is in between Queensland and Papua New Guinea. Murray Island was under the risk of development, and the local Meriam people, led by Eddie Mabo, decided to fight against the development of their island. To understand the significance of this fight, we must go back to 1770, when it all changed for the Aboriginal people. The British first arrived in Australia in 1770. They were looking for a new place to house their convicts as their prisons were overcrowded. The Aboriginal people who lived there did not erect permanent structures as their lives were nomadic. The British declared the land terra nullius, which means uninhabited. But the land wasn't uninhabited. There were over 200 tribes speaking different languages who lived there, and their lives were about to be changed forever. The British knew this, but they took the land anyway. The indigenous people effectively became slaves. Many Torres Strait Islanders were forcibly taken to Queensland to work in the cane fields, and those indigenous people living in the inland of Australia were forced to work for nothing but rations on the large cattle ranches. These injustices began the movement for Indigenous rights. These stockmen were from a tribe called the Gurindji people. In 1966, they decided to refuse to work until they were given some of their land back and paid the same as their white co-workers. The station owners were not obliging.
I don't think they could handle land if they were given it. There have been several occasions in this territory where the native has been given land. He hasn't made a success of it. And I don't think on this occasion it would be any different.
Cattlemen seem to be afraid that if the Gurindjis here are given land, that the government will have to give land to Aborigines all over Australia. Is that a worry to you?
They are making a precedent if they give the Gurindji people the land here, and not only here in the, doesn't even apply to the cattlemen, it also applies to any part in Australia, the Domain in Sydney or any other portion of Australia.
Charles Perkins is another famous activist who fought for Indigenous rights. He began a movement known as the Freedom Rides, where students from Sydney travelled around the country to raise awareness and highlight the discrimination that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people face on a daily basis. These movements, along with many others, set the platform for Eddie Mabo and the people of Murray Island to make some significant change in the High Court of Australia. Every year on the 3rd of June, people from around the country come together to celebrate Mabo Day. This day commemorates the courageous efforts of Eddie Mabo to overturn the fiction of terra nullius, land belonging to no one. This momentous decision has allowed Indigenous people all over the country to begin to reclaim their ancestral lands.